Today's parents are wary of the so-called heavy metal music.
Salut à tous, METALXS, c'est l'essentiel de l'actualité métal et dérivé en quelques minutes, le tout en images, en musique et en interview. METALXS est une exclusivité Refix by Crédit Mutuel, la plateforme de toutes les musiques, tous les talents en partenariat avec Art Force. C'est parti! Il n'a pas eu besoin de se faire un nom. Il porte l'un des plus célèbres du rock de ces 45 dernières années, mais plutôt d'imposer son prénom. À 32 ans, Wolfgang Van Halen est en passe de le faire au sein de son propre projet Mammoth WVH, qui a sorti en août dernier un deuxième album entièrement composé par ses soins et sur lequel il a enregistré, une fois de plus, tous les instruments. Wolfgang, c'est déjà une étonnante carrière. À 15 ans, il accompagnait à la basse son père et son oncle, ainsi que David Lee Roth dans Van Halen, et enregistrait avec eux 6 ans plus tard leur ultime album A Different Kind of Truth en 2012. Puis Wolfgang a rejoint un temps le guitariste d'Old Bridge, Mark Tremonti, dans son aventure solo. C'est en 2021 qu'il a décidé de porter sur ses épaules Mammoth WVH et depuis, il alterne albums et tournées avec son groupe dont certaines dates récemment nous l'ont fait acclamer en première partie de Metallica au Stade de France. Hors de scène, Wolfgang est un garçon très discret. METALXS l'a rencontré et malgré cette timidité tenté de connaître un peu plus celui qui possède le talent pour exister par lui-même mais incarne aussi désormais la succession d'un héritage inestimable.
That one it was a different thing for me to do. I think in comparison to the first album, it was really fun to challenge myself a bit more and to get more comfortable with playing, more complicated guitar solos, or even, I think I came into the whole process with a bit more confidence in my guitar playing and in my vocals and all around, I think. So it really, I was able to, I think after the first album and not knowing what the process was going to be for that, I think with this, knowing what Mammoth was, it allowed me to kind of experiment a bit more and do things like that. Definitely everything I tried to get across. I think no matter how heavy my music might get, I think it's important that there's melody there,
One more time, you got it, you got it. Yeah, I gotta go. It's done. You're fired.
Comme sur le premier album, Wolfgang réalise tous les instruments sans faire appel au groupe qui l'accompagne sur scène. D'ailleurs, dans de nombreux clips, il joue de ce gimmick.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really fun thing. I knew I wanted to do that after making the first video. That'd be really fun to fire all of me. I figured out with the first one that it's sort of my artistic expression throughout playing everything, and it's also really fun. Like I said, I don't really get to play drums as much anymore, so being able to play in the studio is a really good time. But yeah, overall, it's just I just enjoy the creation process, so it's just a very fun thing for me to do.
Si on remonte à son enfance, on se demande si la musique qui l'a poussé à devenir musicien est une réponse évidente ou pas.
Man, that's tough. I think it was really just, more than anything, it was the environment that I was in that really made me the musician that I was. I think just being around, so I guess Van Halen, because it's just growing up in that space and being so familiar with all that music. I think probably that more than anything, When I learned how to play drums, I was playing to Best of Volume 1 by Van Halen and Enema of the State by Blink-182. Those were the two albums that I was learning. I tried to learn everything I could off of those two albums. So yeah, I guess Blink-182 was an early band for me that helped me realize what I liked in music and stuff.
Il a d'abord été batteur, puis bassiste pour des groupes célèbres. À quel moment la guitare lui est apparue comme l'instrument qu'il allait tenir sur scène?
Well, I've been playing guitar longer than I've been playing bass. I started playing guitar when I was 12. I started on drums though, so drums are certainly where I feel most comfortable. I started playing drums when I was 9, and I'm 32 now, so it's just, I have the most fun playing drums.
Son père, Eddie, l'un des plus grands guitar heroes de tous les temps, disparaît en octobre 2020. La carrière solo de Wolfgang démarrait un mois plus tard par le single Distance, qui était à la fois un très émouvant hommage et le clip qui l'accompagnait était très nostalgique. Sur ce second album, l'une des meilleures chansons est intitulée Optimist. Est-ce le reflet d'une humeur moins empreinte de tristesse?
I'm not sure. I think the song is super heavy and almost dark, so it's almost like it shouldn't even be called that, So I think, but in a way, I think it represents this new side to the sound of Mammoth, because it's something I don't think I would have done before, considering it's in a different time signature, and it's definitely it's certainly very heavy in comparison to things that have come before. I think when it comes to writing music, I just write what excites me, and the result is what the album is. I think because I was a bit more comfortable and confident going into this album, I think I didn't overthink it and just did what excited me the most, and it happened to be a more aggressive album, I guess.
Avant de se lancer en solo, Wolfgang a fait partie pendant 4 ans du groupe solo de Mark Tremonti. En 2022, Mammoth WVH faisait la première partie d'Alt Bridge en Europe. Mark est-il une sorte de mentor pour lui?
Maybe partially, but I think more than anything, we're just like wonderful friends, or just best friends. He's like a brother. So more than anything, I think. Yeah, Mark is just a wonderful dude. Same with Miles, I look up to both of them very much so.
Qu'a-t-il appris en partageant la scène si jeune avec des monstres du rock?
The thing I've learned is that just is to keep playing, and just the more you play, the more you get out of it. I think being able to share, the live experience with people who are enjoying it is a crazy, incredible thing. I think this early in our career, it's wonderful to see such a reaction from so many people. I think even opening for Metallica for a crowd of people who don't really know who we are, to enjoy it and to clap along to the music is a huge compliment. So it's very it's an honor to be doing this.
On découvre chez Wolfgang une grande part de timidité qui disparaît complètement sur scène. Est-ce que cela a été une épreuve pour lui de porter en plus de la guitare le chant en concert?
Yeah, I think I'm sort of an introverted person, so to have to be the person that everyone's looking at definitely goes against my personality. But that was definitely a thing that took some convincing from my producer on the first album. I wasn't even sure if I was able to do it, and he was the one who really convinced me that I was able to. There's a bit of pride in there where you're proud that you're able to do it, because it's basically a necessary evil of the result of making music, because you have to go out there and play it, and being such a nervous, anxious person, it doesn't really help, so you kind of have to try and ignore it and just go for it. It definitely is a challenging thing in this day and age to put yourself out there and to unabashedly make, music, putting your entire emotional well-being and self into it. But I think when you do that, you show your honesty, and I think that reflects with a lot of people. I've noticed that if you just be yourself, you know, I'm not really trying to be anybody else or trying to put on a face. I'm just being myself, and I think that resonates with people.
À 32 ans, alors qu'un grand nombre de musiciens de sa génération ont tourné le dos au rock depuis longtemps, se sent-il investi de porter le flambeau, qui plus est avec le nom qui est le sien?
I guess. This just happens to be the music that I write, and that excites me. So it's what I'm going to be making for as long as I make music. I don't ever really try to follow trends or anything. It's just kind of what excites me. So if there's one person who's going to keep making music like this, I guess it'll be me.
Wolfgang nous l'a promis, l'année 2024 sera consacrée au live. Attendez-vous donc à voir ou revoir son groupe sur les scènes européennes, et en attendant, plongez-vous dans Mammoth WVH 2, un superbe mélange de rock et de heavy mélodique, plus riche en guitare qu'il ne l'a jamais été. Le 22 août 2023, Paris. Nous sommes l'après-midi qui précède le concert de MEGADETH à l'Olympia. Une date qui affiche complet, reflet du statut culte et du regain de popularité du groupe de Dave Mustaine depuis l'excellent album The Sick, The Dying and The Dead, paru il y a tout juste un an. Ce jour-là, Dave a rendez-vous avec Aurélie, gagnante du concours que notre partenaire Artforce a organisé avec la marque Gibson durant l'été et qui lui a permis, elle qui venait de Provence, de se voir remettre son cadeau en main propre de la part du musicien.
Do you play guitar?
I played a long time ago. I went to a music conservatory when I was a teenager, so it was a very long time ago. But I'd like to play again.
Okay, well, I just wanted to tell you that I just played Holy Wars on this. Right? You saw that, right? You saw that, right? We'll do it again. Here we go. It's the beginning of Holy Wars. Yeah. All right, so we're going to take a picture of that.
Yeah.
So you hold it, and I'll hold the neck. And I'll come around behind you like this. He's got the camera. Okay, is he going to be in the picture too? Okay, come on in here and grab this end here. Okay, so we're looking at him. All right, say fromage. Great. Do you want me to sign it for you?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, monsieur. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much, Dave.
Okay,
Thank
you're
you.
welcome. Is there anything else we can do for you right now?
No, thank you. Perfectly fine.
Okay. All right, so we're going to sound check right now if you want to listen. All right.
Okay.
METALXS a pu s'entretenir en exclusivité avec Dave, qui revient tout d'abord sur les circonstances et l'importance de cette nouvelle collaboration avec Gibson et Kramer.
Well, I was approached by Cesar Grakian, who is the president of Gibson, about being an ambassador for the company and representing Gibson, Epiphone, and Kramer, which I was absolutely ecstatic to have that offer presented to me. Usually a guitar player, if he's really good, he'll get an endorsement. I've never heard of someone getting 2 endorsements unless it's an electric endorsement and an acoustic endorsement. Never heard of somebody getting 3 guitar companies endorsing him. And one of those is electric and acoustic, so it's mind-blowing. The Kramer shape is more the modern shape that I'm famous for. The Gibson shape is the shape that Gibson is famous for. The Flying V is one of their flagship guitars. Whenever you see a band on TV or a comedy or a cartoon or something, somebody usually has a Flying V. It's one of those guitars people just think is a rock star guitar. I worked on that guitar to make it a soloist guitar, so it's not mainly a rhythm guitar, because the Flying V's been a utility guitar where it's been able to carry the load of doing rhythm and lead solos very well. But there's a lot of guitar companies that make guitars that are strictly for soloing on. And I wanted to hot rod the Flying V, so I made it a 24 fret, and it used to be 21 fret, which is unheard of. Gibson changing all their machines to make a guitar from me and go from 21 frets to 24 is incredible. So when we went to Kramer, it was a 24 fret guitar as well. The modern shape that I love as well. My electronic configuration that ESP and Jackson and Dean all still continue to use my electronic configuration. And I know it's mine because I have the knobs set up so that it's volume, switch, volume, tone. And this front volume goes to my bridge pickup, and the second volume goes to the neck pickup. And that should be backwards. For most players, that first knob would be for the neck pickup, and the second knob would be for the bridge pickup. And they keep doing it my backwards way, so I figure, you know what, fuck them.
Then I'm ready to go.
It's very much a partnership. I know what I want from a guitar, and I also understand that Gibson is the #1 guitar company in the world, and in order to incorporate any kind of change into a corporation like that, you know, takes time. You have to look at all the pros and cons of doing this, you know, well beyond the price point of the guitar. You've got to think about, what do we have to do when we change our machines around? What do we have to do with training our labor force to be able to make the difference? Is there any shipping container changes that are going to need to be eliminated because these new models don't fit, or vice versa? We had an acoustic model that we did that had a cutaway on it. It was like my Gibson acoustic right now, and the cutaway I loved, but they found that the guitar sounded better without the cutaway. So I use the one with the cutaway when I do acoustic performances, and when we're recording, I use the one that doesn't have the cutaway. It's the Soundmaker guitar.
When it starts tonight, Night Stalkers.
Un an quasiment jour pour jour après la sortie de The Sick, The Dying and The Dead, quel regard porte-t-il rétrospectivement sur l'accueil et le succès qui ont été réservés à ce 16e album studio de Megadeth?
The feeling I just got when you were explaining it, you know, probably your best for a very long time, or however you explain that, that makes me feel good. We had some challenges during the record, you know, the pandemic. That was hard, and then all the shipping stuff that was going on, you know, all the boats were all stuck off the shore, nothing was getting shipped into the country, the borders were all fucked, some were open, some were closed, and then the cancer, you know, there were so many things that came up during this. I'm excited that we stayed true to our colors, and you know, there's a lot of people that we got rid of this time around, and I'm not talking about any musicians. That didn't happen until the record was finished, where we actually had to get Steve DiGiorgio to come in. But we just felt good about the whole process, you know. And the good thing I believe is that there are 3 or 4 songs left over that we started working on, and we usually do that with a record. If we start the songwriting process and we're on a roll, we'll keep going until we feel like maybe the songwriting is enough for this album. Sometimes it'll be, you know, just the 12 songs that's on a record. Like the first couple of records only had 8 songs on them. Yeah, and then I think Euthanasia was the first one where we ever had a lot of extra songs. And for this one, we have a couple really great ideas that are sitting there waiting for us to revisit, and maybe not. You know, I wrote Set the World Afire. That was my very first song after I left New York, and that didn't show up until the 3rd record. So, you know, maybe this stuff will be not this next record, but the next one. Or, you know, the good thing too, we had Dirk and Kiko writing, and James is a good songwriter too from his time with Ozzy. You know, that wasn't a slouch job, you know what I mean? That was a big, important gig, playing with Ozzy, so.
En 2023, si on se penche sur l'histoire du groupe, on peut indiscutablement affirmer que Dave Mustaine est Megadeth. Contre vents et marées, il a surmonté tous les changements de musiciens, des changements qui ne semblent pas avoir affecté son intégrité. Aujourd'hui, on a pourtant l'impression que ceux qui l'accompagnent ont une liberté d'expression et une fraîcheur comme jamais auparavant. Pense-t-il que cette confiance accordée dépend des musiciens qui l'ont entouré et l'entourent encore?
Well, I think you gotta look at the whole story. Because people that get fired are very rarely happy that they got fired. Sometimes they're happy they got fired because they didn't want to have to quit, but they don't want to work there anymore. And they needed a reason to quit. We've had a lot of people that have been playing with us over the years, and we've maintained our friendships. And there are a couple that are very bitter, and usually the story has been played out in the press from, you know, when it happens in reality, and then how long a person will keep bringing up those old stories. Usually they bring up stuff about me or about Megadeth whenever they've got a new project, or they've got some concerts coming up, or a new record. They'll try and pick a fight with me. And I just figure, you know, dog with no teeth barks the loudest, right? So, you know, I don't really let people that complain about us or talk shit about our performance abilities or the songs that we write matter. The guys that we've been able to maintain friendships with, and there's a lot of them, we've been able to discuss why things happened the way that they did. You know, I miss Gar, I miss Nick. Chris Poland and I, we settled things, and there's no problems there. The second lineup with Jeff and Chuck, Chuck and I are really close, you know, and I've always said I thought that Jeff Young was a good performer, and you know, the ultimate lineup that everybody likes is the Rest in Peace lineup with Nick and Marty. And you see how Marty and I am, we just played together. So you have to look at the guys that are talking badly about me and say, okay, there's more to this story, you know, because you go up to Jimmy DeGrasso or to Al Pitrelli or any of those guys, I'm sure they'd say the same thing, that we had a good run together. I got a get well message from Sean Drover, and when I had made the announcement that I had cancer, you know, I only know of maybe one or two people from our past that have any problems with our band. And usually they won't say anything about the other guys, they'll say it about me. And believe it or not, there are more people in the press that have a problem with me than any bands out there. You know, we just did a show recently, and I just got done saying that I had bronchitis, and we got a review, and the guy did a pretty fair review. I think that he gave us 3.5 stars, and I think I probably should have got less for how my voice sounded because I was sick. Now, that wasn't fair to the band because the band, they played great. They played great, and I think that was kind of one of the sheep that follows the other band, you know, that just don't like me because of who I played with before Megadeth, you know. And that's sad sometimes because, you know, I don't think it's fair for the band guys to, you know, have to experience other people's bitterness because they follow the other band. And, you know, because there's a lot of people that don't like Megadeth or don't like me, and they don't even know me, you know. And that's kind of funny to me, but it's also sad because I would hate to miss out on really great music. I heard a band today on TV, and it was on a French channel. I would not normally have ever watched it, and I'd seen their name a lot, and I never realized how fucking cool they were. I'm not gonna say their name because I want to make sure it's more than just one song, because I'd hate for them to, you know, have a song about, you know, going out and killing baby seals or something, you know. Anyways.
On a souvent parlé du line-up de référence de Megadeth. Qu'a-t-il ressenti en se retrouvant à jouer avec Marty Friedman au Budokan à Tokyo en février dernier?
That was very, very rewarding. You know, Marty was magic. There were several guys in the beginning that were along for the ride. You know, they weren't very good players, and they were with Megadeth in the beginning when we started, and we had different drummer, we had different guitar player, we had a different bass player. You know, so we had a lot of people that were around when that lineup was happening, but they never really solidified anything, you know? Like, you can say, for example, people think that they see stuff that I had one guy in the very beginning, and that he was the only person, and that's not true. There was other people before anyone that was mentioned in the press. I went to Hollywood and met with this guy named Robbie Cromwell, and he was brilliant guitar player. He was a very strange guy. That's why we never pursued anything. But he taught me how to play with 2 hands on the neck and taught me a bunch of really great stuff. So really, I played with him first. And then there was a guy named Matt Kisselstein who was the bass player when we had our very first jam, right? So that magic lineup, it was made up of really great players, but even that lineup borrowed from the lineup before them, because Nick was a drum tech for Chuck, and Chuck was a drum tech for Gar. So these guys were all kind of passing on their chops to their next guy. So when Nick came in, he was playing Megadeth songs that Gar wrote the drum parts on and that Chuck wrote, and adding his own flair to it. And the same thing happened when Marty came in. If you listen to the demo tapes on the Rust in Peace reissue, and that's Chris Poland playing those solos. and they sure sound a lot like the solos that Marty played. Marty, I asked him specifically, will you listen to these and can we try these ideas? And Marty's a maestro. He was able to pick the good stuff out of Chris's solos and make the rest his own. You know, and see, that's another thing too, when people talk about me allowing them to songwrite. I've always asked these guys to songwrite, but I'm also the guy that gets the finger pointed at when I say we're not going to use that song because it's not good enough for the fans. Right? There's been guys that have played with me that aren't with me right now that have been solo long enough that if they were great songwriters, they would have done something. Right? So.
Megadeth a posé des bases du thrash metal et est toujours resté fidèle à un style sans jamais trop s'en éloigner. Aurait-on pu imaginer Dave Mustaine s'aventurer en solo dans un genre musical complètement inattendu?
I don't think I want to do solo stuff. I think that would be kind of confusing. Megadeth is the band that I'm in and I play for. I've done music with other people. I've appeared on other people's stuff, but my passion is Megadeth. And if I was going to write with somebody, they're not saying, let's write a pop song with Dave Mustaine, you know, because the lyrics I write about are pretty intense and the riffs that I write, the best ones are fast and hard. You know, and I think, you know, we just to give you an example, I just had a phone call with my management yesterday. It was a business, our weekly call we had, and they had said that some famous songwriter in America had reached out and asked if I wanted to do songwriting, a collaboration with this person, and I said, what the fuck do they know about me? I mean, why do they want to write with me? They're writing with Bon Jovi and people like that. Why do they want to write with me? You know, I mean, what am I possibly going to do to one of their songs? And what could I possibly think I'd want them to do to one of mine? You know what I mean? So it's kind of strange. And you know, pop stuff is different from what we do anyways. Pop stuff is usually exactly what it means. Pop is short for popular, so it's popular music. Right now, Barbie's popular. You know, you're gonna see a bunch of metal bands doing Barbie songs, guarantee it.
Dave vit désormais à Nashville, nouvel épicentre de l'industrie musicale américaine. Dans quelle mesure son environnement joue une influence sur sa musique?
Your environment can have an influence on you tremendously. I think the fact that I was living in Nashville and I went through all of the hardship that I did, that's part of what made the project a little easier to do because I was living in a place that I felt like was a paradise to me. Clean air, nice and green, raining every once in a while, so the smell of the ground when it's wet. We live in an area that's farmland. I have horses and we've got a big property. And it's nice to be able to get up in the morning. I walk barefoot on my property a lot because I was told a long time ago that it's good for you to walk barefoot on the ground because of the grounding process that takes place when you're standing on the ground. It's really good for your body and healing yourself in frequencies and stuff like that. I don't know. I mean, shoot me if I'm wrong, but no, don't shoot me. I may be wrong, but I don't think I am because, you know, it's been pretty good for me so far living naturally. I'm trying to not live in like city life as much as possible. For me, there's been a couple periods in my career where, you know, when the cancer first started happening, you know, all the chemotherapy and the radiation, I had a lot of memory issues that was really difficult for me, you know, remembering stuff. I would be talking and I would forget what I was talking about, and that still happens sometimes. I'll forget when I'm answering a question, or I'll make a question last forever like I did at the beginning of this. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, I think that environment there it made it a lot more conducive for us to connect. We were kind of in the middle of nowhere, and there wasn't a lot of amenities, so we kind of had to go shopping when we go shopping, and when we're not shopping, we're in a farm in the middle of fucking nowhere, and I think that really helped.
When you least expect your feet, I attack.
Dans la chanson qui clôture le dernier album, Dave le chantait « Nous reviendrons ». Que faut-il attendre à présent pour l'avenir de Megadeth?
We have tour dates we're going to be announcing for next year at our website, and we've got some more dates this year, in September and October. Kiko is going to be taking a leave of absence from us. He's going to be going home. He's got some personal stuff he needs to take care of, so we're going to be doing some dates in the States, and we'll have a friend of Kiko's that Kiko actually handpicked and showed songs to, sitting in for him while Kiko deals with this issue. Hopefully it won't be, longer than we're anticipating, but what's best for Kiko is what's best for us right now. It's important that my guys, we care about him, and that we want to do what's right for him. As awkward as that is for us, I think the fans will understand too.
Voilà, METALXS, c'est terminé pour aujourd'hui. On se retrouve dans 15 jours pour un nouveau numéro avec toujours plus d'interviews, de surprises et de contenus inédits. Un immense merci pour votre fidélité et n'oubliez pas de prolonger l'expérience métal sur riffix.fr. Salut!